Blessed Savior, thou wilt guide us, how we reach that blessed shore, where the angels wait to join us in thy praise forevermore.
Everybody get up.
Good Monday morning. Thanks for joining us. We've got a great show lined up for you, and you're listening to Sissy Social Circle. I'm Sissy Feckelstaller. In the studio today, I have two great guests that I think you'll find very interesting, and I mean that in a good way. Sometimes I say interesting, and I don't always mean that in a good way, but today I do mean it in a very good way. So today we have joining us Johnny Clemens, and Johnny's sitting right next to me to my left, and many of you know him through his personal training in Cleveland over the last, I would say, at least 10 years. How long, Johnny?
Yeah, about 10 years.
About
10 years probably, at least maybe 11 years.
Yeah, long time. And several people I know have worked out with Johnny, and I have too. Mm-hmm. And also we have Hope Goodpasture with us and her marketing director, Megan Steventon. And they are with...
Pause for 5.
Pause for 5, and it's cold pressed juicing. And so this is something I think that everyone would find interesting. Hope told me the other day when we were talking on the phone, she said that cold pressed juice is sort of the wave of the future, and it's becoming very popular. That around in the South, we often see people walk around with their Starbucks cup, and I'm definitely that kind of person. And when I can afford it, right? And so I walk around with my Starbucks cup. But she said out on the West Coast, you often see people walking around, instead of coffee, they're walking around with their cold pressed juice. So she's going to take a little time this morning to educate us on that and her business, where she does cleanses, and she also does delivery. She has several delivery points. So if it's something you're interested in, we're going to taste test a few this morning, and we'll have giveaways. So starting off, I want to talk to Johnny a little bit about personal training. Sure. Johnny, is this your busy time of the year?
No, it's not. My favorite place to train is outdoors. So right now we're trapped in a room, which is it's a nice room, but it's not the busiest. I mean, we usually get busier when spring comes, but it's not the busiest. It slows down a little bit.
Where are you training right now?
We are training at CrossFit LL, just across the street behind United Grocery. There's a room back there, and I train just 1 hour in the morning. It's at 5:30. At 5:30, and
that's in the morning, by the way.
Yes, 5:30 a.m. And then the rest of the day, I work with my father-in-law. We build ponds and stuff. So,
Johnny also has a large garden, so he's going to talk to us about that. Uh-huh. But I wanted to say I'll tell you a funny story. Johnny is great to train with because he is very understanding, and he doesn't make you feel embarrassed. And I haven't brought this up to him yet, but I don't know if he remembers this or not. I did personal training with Johnny years ago after I had my first child, and I was breastfeeding. And when you're nursing, you have pads that you have to put in your bra, to catch any leaking and everything. So Johnny had me do those mountain climbers. Is that what they're called, Johnny?
Mountain climbers, yes.
Yeah, they're awful. They're horrendous, because I remember doing those when I was a kid in elementary school and just dreading it. So Johnny would do the stopwatch, and he would say, you have to do it for a minute. Go as hard and fast as you can. So bam, 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 bam. I was doing it. And then when I stood up, I didn't even notice it because I was just so, hot and sweaty. And he said, I think you've got something coming out of your shirt. It was those nursing pads. They were up around my neck. And I said, oh, my gosh. So I had to go to the bathroom real quick and adjust them. And I came back out, and I thought, poor Johnny. I mean, I think of him as so young. I was like, he probably thinks I stuffed my bra. But I had to come back out, and I said, Johnny, I have to tell you what those are. I don't stuff my bra. Those were nursing pads. And he said, it's okay. I've got a wife.
Yes, I also have 3 kids, so I knew what they were.
And I was so thankful. I was so good. So that was one thing I've always appreciated about Johnny, is that he doesn't make you feel embarrassed. So no matter how out of shape you are, or if you have nursing pads coming out of your shirt, he will be very discreet and respectful, right?
Yes.
He's really good about that.
That's right.
So, Johnny, tell us, what are your qualifications for being a personal trainer?
I believe my qualifications is experience. I mean, I grew up as a wrestler. I started back when I was in 3rd grade, and I've always trained with really high quality coaches. I ran track and wrestled for Ohio University and transferred to Lee. Had competed at a very high levels underneath great coaches, and I had many certifications. I had about every certification you can get, but I don't follow through with them like I was telling them earlier. I just focus on just training and because the knowledge always changes. So that's kind of what I. So.
Now, was your family the family that you grew up in? I'm aware that you came from a large family, right?
Yes, I have 8 brothers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and no sisters.
I never knew that.
A lot of competition.
That's true. There's a lot of competition.
We all wrestled.
9 boys in the family.
And, yes.
I had no idea.
Uh-huh.
And now, did you have anybody in your family that was overweight, or was everyone pretty much? I mean, listen, that's nice to call them out, but or was everyone pretty much in shape and healthy eaters?
Everyone's pretty much in shape, but we wrestled, so we were always overweight every weekend, trying to make weight. But we were never overweight. So
yeah, your mom did a lot of cooking,
yes.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And now I want to turn it over to Hope.
Sure.
Hope that's here and talk about her new business. And now, Johnny, are you aware of the cold pressed juices?
I am.
Have you had any?
I haven't had hers, no, but I've had cold pressed, and there's a lot of things we use cold pressed, like olive oil and.
Right.
Yes.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Hope, how did you start your business?
Well, I guess probably 4 years ago, I read health blogs to educate myself in nutrition, because I've always been into nutrition, and a lady was talking about doing a juice cleanse, and so I just did my own research because it was pretty expensive, and I didn't want to buy something unless I knew that it was good quality. So I actually traveled to Guatemala in 2011, and that month I came back just feeling kind of offset, so I had ordered a cleanse, and my total was like it was over $300, and $80 of that was in shipping. And
where did you order it from?
It was a company in California, and so because it has to ship priority overnight, that's why the shipping was so expensive, because it's a raw product. But during the cleanse, I just felt so great, and then I just kept doing my own research on juicing. And then when I graduated from college, my parents bought me a juicer, a centrifugal juicer, which is a lot different than the hydraulic press. But I was waiting for Chattanooga to get a cold press juice company, because I knew that, Chattanooga had a market for something like that, especially with, a lot of runners and people are rock climbing and stuff like that. So one day I just told my dad I was going to open my own business, because, one wasn't opening, and I wanted a cold press juice company. So, and that's how it happened.
Now, who would you say your average customer is?
I've been really surprised with my customer base, because I really have customers. I thought it would be, people that work out a lot or do yoga, and but I mean, I have clients that work, a lot of clients that work downtown, and so that's why we do deliveries 2 days a week. But I also have, I have one client that she uses the juice for pain management. She was a cosmetologist, and so she has a lot of shoulder issues, and since the juice is so anti-inflammatory, she thinks that it's been helping her manage her pain and not have to take as much medicine.
What's the difference between a cold pressed juice that you provide versus a juicer like a Jack LaLemon or one of those that someone buys at home?
So there's 2 different types of juicers, and the centrifugal is, so if you go into Earth Fare and you order a juice and you tell them you want apples, kale, lemon, and they make it right there for you,
right,
and they put it on a lid and a straw. And that's a centrifugal juicer. So it uses a blade and heats up the produce, so it kills some of the nutrients. And it also oxidizes. And so that's why they give it to you with a lid and a straw, because you need to drink it right away. But the hydraulic press, it actually it's a much slower process. So it takes a long time to get the juice. And so that's why they're bottled with a cap. And it uses hydraulic pressure. So instead of a blade spinning and heating the produce, it actually uses hydraulic pressure. So 2 tons of pressure to press out to extract the juice. And so there's no oxidation, and it yields 3 to 5 times the nutrition of what a centrifugal juicer would.
Now, typically people, when they do a cleanse, say they're going to do a 3-day cleanse, does that mean that they're going to be drinking the same juice at each meal, or different types of juices, or do you have a recipe for the different vegetables and fruits?
There are 6 juices per day that you drink. So you're almost drinking juice all day long. And 1 day's worth of a cleanse has about 6 to 7 pounds of produce that you're consuming through juice. There's 3 green juices that you drink, and then there's it's like a spicy lemonade. It has, a lot of people are familiar with the Master Cleanse, and that's kind of where the recipe's from. It's maple syrup and cayenne pepper and lemon.
Will that put you in the bathroom?
No, I mean, that's a really common question about people ask, and it's really interesting because you're not on the bathroom because the fiber's removed in juice, which fiber's important to have into your diet, but the point of a juice cleanse is to give your digestive system a break, and so fiber has to be digested. And so when you drink juice on an empty stomach with no fiber, your body absorbs all the nutrients immediately. So it's almost like drinking a supplement. And so, but since there's no fiber, you're really not on the toilet a lot. But our bodies detox by using the bathroom. And so people that their bodies really need to detox, they'll use the bathroom, but it's not what you would expect. It's not like runny and...
I'll get your opinion on this. This is something I find really interesting. When I was going and doing my yoga teacher training, I did it with Jessica Jolly. She's actually from the Cleveland area, Charleston area. And she told us once, and this is stuck in my mind, and I believe her because, well, I believe pretty much anything she tells me because she's just a great person and has a lot of great information. And Jessica said, during the times that I'm eating clean, because she's very much into organic food and clean eating, and she said the times when I'm eating clean that's excluding, she's not having Starbucks, but the coffee that she drinks even is organic. She said, my sweat does not smell. And then she said, but yesterday I had a Starbucks and now I'm a little stinky. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Very true. Most of the time I don't even wear deodorant. Because exercise is important, but if your nutrition's not right, you're not going to lose weight. The main reason is because your gut. You have a toxic gut, and that toxin's going to leak out your pores. So
and you know what?
True.
I think that probably sounds disturbing that Johnny doesn't wear deodorant most of the time. But I can say, with all honesty, I have never smelled you.
Well, what I do is I make my own stuff. I use coconut oil. And coconut oil, it cures bacteria. So you can put coconut oil in, or you can add a little mineral water with some magnesium. And that's great for your skin, and deodorant is a great deodorant to use. That's what I use.
Do you go to Abundant Living and buy it?
I do. I have bought it there, but a lot of times I make it myself. It's much cheaper. You can make a whole lot of it easy. Like I make sunscreen and make my own shaving cream.
Do you really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
So
that's very interesting. And but I think it's worth a try. If you find that to be something that you want to test out the theory on, that would be interesting. If you wanted to try organic for how many days? What do you think? If you did organic eating for how long?
Well, you got to get your gut healed is the main thing. You really need detox, and everybody's different, so you can't put it on a time base on that. It depends on how toxic you are.
How junked up your system is.
Uh-huh.
And along those lines, I did want to share something else I have really put into play in my own life with the last year. I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Scott Blossom, and he is out of San Francisco, but he's a nationally known Ayurvedic doctor. Mm-hmm. And one thing that he shared with us, he's very, very practical. And so he doesn't say that there's a blanketed approach to nutrition for everyone. So, for example, he doesn't say everyone should be a vegetarian or everyone should be, you should have meat this many times a week, because we all have different chemical makeups and we all have a different body. And so it's finding the balance within your own body. And when you're trying out new foods or you're eating, just take note, and it's very simple. When you eat something, wait an hour, see how you feel. Mm-hmm. And if you feel crummy after an hour, that's something that that doesn't agree with your body. So if you're eating something just because you want to get the vitamin E out of it or a particular vitamin, maybe that's not the particular food for you, and maybe you should try a different fruit or vegetable that contains the same amount of vitamins, but that does agree with your system. So for example, for myself, I love beets, and I could eat them all day long and every day. And my husband, he says they taste like dirt. And so that's not for him. And lately I've tried to be a little bit more conscientious of it. My husband had his office Christmas party, and they had some appetizers out, and one of them I ate, and I knew as soon as I ate it, I thought, that's going to make me sick. And it did. Mm-hmm. And it did. But here I am in my 30s, and I'm still coming into figuring those things out. And I think it's one thing, maybe that might be a New Year's resolution for everyone at home, to sort of make a list of the things and it doesn't have to be that you end up with diarrhea afterwards, but if you just feel sick to your stomach and you feel gross, sort of like you feel after you eat at the Mexican restaurant, it's probably not a good thing.
Yes, and there's ways, there's more ways to get scientific about it. There's ways that, there's apps out there there's an app called Sweet Beat, and you can,
now how is that spelled?
Sweet Beat.
B-E-A-T or B-E-E-T?
B-E-E-A-T.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And there's that app out there. What it does is it checks your heart rate variability rate. So if you keep track, and you have this heart monitor on, it's plugged into the phone. If you're eating something that's not working with your body properly, you'll see your heart rate variability kind of change, and you can kind of record it that way.
Have you ever
really
heard of
interesting.
I haven't. That's
Yes.
really interesting, though.
It's a real easy way to do it, but otherwise you can just keep a food journal, and like you said, just kind of write down what you ate and how you felt after that, and you find out if you're gluten intolerant and things like that.
Now, have you tried any of this Sweet Beet? Have
Yes,
you tried it?
yes.
So what did you find with yours?
Well, I mean, it's pretty. I use it for training. I use it for my exercise. Like if I'm out training, I do a really hard workout, and I check my heart rate variability rate in the morning. If my heart rate is like not working properly, if like a heart rate variability rate, people think about like heart rate is like if you're 60 beats per second, or if 60 beats per minute, and it beats right on that second beat, and it just perfectly every second, your variability rate's not that great because you're under stress. So variability rate, your heart rate is communicating with your body, so it's beat, then beat, or it's kind of active, and it's responding to what your body is. So if I find in the morning my heart rate variability rate isn't like active, it's not communicating with my body, I need to back it down. And that's the same with the nutrition. If you find out the nutrition, if it's not working properly, you need to back it down.
That sort of, debunks the theory that, if you have a heart rate that's in the 60s, it means you're healthy and you're a good fitness person. But looking a little bit deeper on that, it is not just the number 60, but the variability rate. Mm-hmm. So that makes a lot of sense.
Variability rate's real important.
Sort of like total cholesterol. You can't say, well, my cholesterol is 200 and I have bad cholesterol. Mm-hmm. Well, you have to look at your HDL and your LDL and see what that is. So the last time I looked at my cholesterol, it was over 200. But I have a really high HDL and a low LDL. Mm-hmm. So
very good.
And those of you that don't know, HDL is your good cholesterol. LDL is your bad cholesterol. Which brings me to another topic. Hope, I was looking last night on your website, and I noticed that your dad, who did the cleanse, I saw his numbers.
His HDL and LDL.
That was incredibly impressive.
It's pretty amazing whenever, juicing is, a simple concept, but at the same, it's crazy what happens whenever we put good nutrition into our bodies, because within 10 days, his cholesterol dropped. He started at his cholesterol, his LDL, so his bad cholesterol went from 128 to 84 in 10 days.
So it dropped around 40 points.
Right. So just by drinking juice.
That is one thing. Last night I was reading a Natural Health magazine, and that's, that's not a cuckoo magazine or anything like that. We're not talking about crazy, it's just what can we do to better ourselves health-wise in a natural way. And it said that the number 1 and 2 causes of death are not, what did it say, smoking or drinking or anything like that's what, it was lack of exercise and nutrition. Those are the 2 number 1 causes of death. Oh, it said not cardiovascular disease and the things that we think. But when people get cancer and other things, there are a lot of contributing factors, and a lot of those are environmental and nutritional as well. Some are not, but from what I have read is that it tends to be a 10% genetic factor versus and a 90% environmental factor. And what those environmental factors are could be various different things. So,
yeah, Dr. Asa, he's a health doctor. I think he's in Nashville, but he has always said if you lifestyle your way into it, you can lifestyle your way out of it. And so he thinks that, if you have, I think he was diagnosed with diabetes in college, and he lifestyled his way out of diabetes without going on any medications. So
I read Forks Over Knives last year, and I found that to be so inspirational. Have you both read that?
I have.
It was great. And so I guess it was last year or maybe the year before. And so for 8 months continuous, I went straight vegetarian and totally cut out meat. And now I would say now I'm about 95% vegetarian. I cheat every now and then, like I did at my husband's Christmas party. And when I saw that little, whatever it was, that little meat thing, and I ate it, I knew right away I was going to be sick. And I was. So vegetarian, after I read that book, it talked about reversing the effects of cardiovascular disease, and just by eliminating animal products. And I don't think that I could totally eliminate everything. And just like, Johnny, you're a man, you've got a lot of muscle, you probably need some meat.
Well, I'm not a vegetarian. So, and I'm not, I agree, I see a vegetarian, it could be good, but I'm not like, that's not what I follow or what I tell my clients. I like, it's good to have meat. Like if you're eating about 95% vegetarian, then 5% meat, that's kind of what I agree with. Just maybe once or twice a week.
That's what I do. And I don't eat pork, and I really eliminate a lot of things like that. One of the things in the book that my husband and I have laughed about is we were on a long road trip when I was reading the book. So occasionally I would read out different facts and different things that the book said, and my husband would, of course, he'd call BS on a lot of it.
Yeah.
But then later on, he would say, well, that wasn't, maybe I might agree with that. So one thing it said, a good rule of thumb was that when you're trying to decide if you should eat it or not, if it has a mother, then you don't eat it. And that's what my husband said. That's ridiculous. But then after a while, he kind of went vegetarian with me too. But I think for him, he needs the meat. He needs that protein. Versus me, and I don't necessarily need that much. But you don't agree with the vegetarian?
No, you can definitely do vegetarian, but it's difficult. You have to eat a lot more, for one thing, and to get your nutrition, especially if you're an endurance athlete or a really high trained athlete, you're going to have to find a good source of protein, and then there's pea protein and different things like that. But
another thing that I've read was that people often think that the more you work out, the more you're going to eat. But a recent study I saw stated that people who do at least 30 to 45 minutes of vigorous exercise daily consume on average 110 calories less than other people. And it talked about the hormone levels. It suppresses your hunger, your appetite, so that you're not consuming as much. But you would think after a really strong workout that you would be ready to pig out afterwards. Do you find that?
Well, I do ultra marathons. Like I've done 50-mile races before, and I calculated how many calories I've taken into that race, and I consumed somewhere around 6,500 calories during a 7-hour period.
Oh wow!
So it's if you're not taking in the calories and you're having super hard workouts, you're going to get something what you call skinny fat. You may lose weight, you may get skinny, but you'll have this little pudgy belly or these flabby arms, and what you're doing is your body's not going to burn the fat. It's fat stored energy that's going to stay there. It always burns the carbs, the muscle first. So if you're doing that, you're doing hard workouts and you're not replacing what you need, you're just going to lose muscle. You're not losing body fat. That's what mostly happens. And that's what I see with a lot of diets.
Well, since you do your workout so early in the morning, do you find that people burn more calories versus doing it in the morning versus later in the afternoon? I've always heard you jumpstart your metabolism if you get it done at the beginning of the day.
Oh, well, I like to train in the mornings, but people are a little different. I've seen studies both ways where morning is better and evening is better. So I think it's kind of a personal preference, and judging by your day, your schedule. If you're busy, you just got to do it when you can do it. You don't have a choice. But as far as which one's better, I'm not for sure which one's better.
And Johnny, if somebody wanted to come work out with you and try a workout with you, how would they get a hold of you?
They could just Facebook me at Rachel Johnny Clemens, or they can call me at 715-7807, local here in Cleveland. And we train at 5:30 in the morning. I do offer at home training sessions, especially in the wintertime. But once it starts getting warmer, if the weather is above 45 degrees or so, we'll be outside. That's the best place to train. I like gyms and just nice to get your hands on some weights, but nature, it offers a whole lot, and most people don't see that and get a lot of benefit from it. So.
And on a side note, is your wife finally getting a break from work?
She has slowed down, yes. She works for FedEx Express, and she's out there over Christmas. They got real busy, and she was working over 12 hours a day out there.
Did she work Christmas Day?
She didn't have to. They called it off in the last minute, but
that was
she
a blessing.
Very busy the next day after Christmas.
Yeah, she used to deliver stuff to our old house, and now we're kind of out in the country, so I don't see her. But she's a hustler. She's fast.
Mm-hmm.
She probably can work circles around a lot of the people she works with. She's very quick and efficient, and she's great. And always has a smile.
Yeah, she does. That's what attracted me to her, I guess.
So Rachel is the Rachel and Johnny Clemens. If you see that on Facebook,
yeah.
That's his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And Hope, did you want to offer any specials on the juice, or what would you say if someone was looking to do a 3-day cleanse? How much would they pay for that?
A cleanse is $36 per day, and we actually decided to do if they order and mention hearing it on the radio, we're going to do it at $30 per day.
Okay.
So,
and how would they get in contact with you?
You can either through my website, it's pausefor5.com, and then or you can email pausefor5@yahoo.com, or call the Megan Stevenson Sales and Marketing, and it's 423-315-6791.
Hope, I'm thinking about doing the cleanse myself. Now, I think that this would be better than the cleanse I did last year. Last year was the first time I ever did a cleanse, and I did an Ayurvedic cleanse, and I think I paid, I want to say, $180. And it was for a 7-day cleanse. And Johnny, are you familiar with an Ayurvedic cleanse?
I am not.
Okay, so this is Ayurvedic cleanse is somewhat based on your doshas and what your makeup is. Are you more water, air, fiery and whatnot? And some of it, I feel like I could buy into. And the cleanse has to do with a lot of Indian-based food, and so it could be somewhat spicy. And for me, I realized it was very difficult to do. I didn't think it would be. When you think 7 days, you think I could do 7 days. But it was really hard because the food, you were basically eating the exact same thing every single day. And in the morning, it was a quinoa porridge, which was disgusting. And then there was a tea that you brew yourself with some spices that you'd have in the morning. And then for lunch, it was this khichdi. It was called khichdi. And you can look it up online. And so it had rice, mung beans in it. The top would be either collards or sometimes kale. That would be the only variable. And so you'd eat this, and then you would eat the exact same thing, the khichdi, again for dinner. It was really, really rough. And so by the third day, I quit. Because when I would open the fridge and I would smell it, I would literally get nauseous. And so on that last day, I think it was 4 o'clock, and I had not eaten anything. And I realized I give because I had been looking at that quinoa porridge from the morning, and I couldn't choke it down, but I didn't want to give up. So it wasn't that I wasn't hungry. I was really hungry, but I just couldn't stand to choke it down anymore. So I gave up, and I realized, you know what? 7-day cleanse maybe not for me, and I can't do something that's the exact same thing every day. And my husband, I really tried to talk him into doing the cleanse with me, but he refused. And after he saw what the food looked like, he was glad he didn't waste the money. But Hope, if I do the 3-day cleanse with you, what could I expect as far as juices and vegetables? Will it be the same or different?
No, there's you start your day with hot water with lemon to start. You don't drink coffee on the cleanse either, ideally. And so I tell people to start off with warm water and lemon, and then you start out with the first green juice, and it's kale, spinach, romaine, cucumber, celery, green apple, ginger, and lemon.
Now, is this a drink that the juice, is it something that you sip on, or do you want to get it down quick?
I prefer to sit, which there's 6 juices, so you're drinking juice nearly all day long. When I did my first cleanse, I couldn't get through all the juices, which it was 6 16-ounce juices. Mine are 12 ounces. But I mean, you're not hungry because you're getting all kinds of nutrients and
Very filling.
but yeah, and they say to chew your juice because digestive starts in the mouth. When you have food in your mouth, so you don't really chew. You just kind of like move it around in your mouth and then swallow. So, and that helps with the healing of the digestive system.
And do you miss chewing?
You do have. I mean, we're so used to chewing, and so it is different to kind of tell yourself that you're not that you can't chew food, but it's not hard. And when my dad did the 10 days, I mean, we would sit at the dinner table with our whole family eating spaghetti, and I mean, it was fine just sipping on juice and stuff. And especially if you do a longer, I like to recommend a 3-day cleanse to start out, but I've had people do up to 12-day cleanses.
And what about the person that says they want to lose weight on a cleanse?
I have not marketed the juice as a weight loss program because, if you do a 3-day cleanse, you're obviously going to lose some weight. But then if you go back to eating bad, you're just going to gain the weight back. So, but if you do the cleanse correctly, drink lots of water and drink the juice. And I think a huge part of it is just having a positive mindset. When you get off the cleanse, you're craving fruits and vegetables because, our bodies were designed to eat fruits and vegetables. And, now a lot of our diets are chemicals and, processed foods. And, but when you get back to drinking the juice, your body really starts to crave it.
I read an interesting article a few years ago in Eating Well magazine, and it was what drives us to crave the types of foods that we enjoy the most. And the author was raised in New York, and her parents were very big health nuts, and they ate lots of fruits and vegetables. And her husband, who was from Texas, he loved ribs and baked beans, and just the more pork, the better, really. Mm-hmm. The bigger, the more. And she never could understand why he didn't like to eat healthy. And doing through some research, she found that when his mother was pregnant with him, that's what she ate. Those were the things she ate. She ate pork, and she ate the ribs and the barbecue. And her mother versus her mother, who ate always very healthy. And she really, the whole study was really based back on what did you consume when you were in your mother's womb, and it sort of gives you an affinity for the taste that you have later in life. It kind of gives you something to think about.
It was the same way with my mom. When she was pregnant, she said, she says she thinks I was designed to do this business because when she was pregnant with me, she couldn't eat anything sweet, and she wanted salads, and she couldn't even eat dressings on her salad. And then, I mean, even when I was born and she was nursing me, I would take nothing but, breast milk from the nipple. I wouldn't even take a bottle with her breast milk. And so I've always been really interested in health and, staying close to the earth and stuff. So it is really interesting.
That's funny. And along those same lines, my second son, he probably has more cavities. Well, he does. He has more cavities than any of the other kids in our family, any of our other children. And he loves bread and he loves sweets. Mm-hmm. And so when we sit at the dinner table, we really have to almost bribe him to get him to try a couple of bites of something. He'll say, well, what does it taste like? And I always say, I can't tell you what it's going to taste like. You have to try it for yourself. And I cook a variety of different ethnic foods and lots of different things. And I've not changed that since we had children. I'm not going to do chicken nuggets for the kids because that's what kids eat. So my kids have to eat whatever I make, and whatever I make is what I like. So my oldest said one day, why do you don't make what we like to eat? You only make what you like to eat. And I said, well, who does the cooking? I do. So I'm going to make what I like. And when you start cooking, you can make what you like. This is what we're having for dinner. And my son Jack, he's 6. He loves cakes and cookies and more desserts. And he'll push around his food on his plate. And he'll take maybe 2 bites just so he can get a piece of bread with butter on it. And part of me, I feel like, deep down, I really kind of blame myself because when I was pregnant with him, I ate lots of desserts. I can recall one week that I made 3 cakes in 1 week, and it was not for anyone else but myself. And so I think I'm kind of reaping what I sowed there with him. But Johnny, do you have how did your mother eat when? She was pregnant with you. Do you know?
I really don't know that.
It's probably she probably can't remember either. With 9 boys, it's hard to keep track of which one.
Yes. So
Because
I
even
was,
with 4, I can't.
mhm. My mom was only 18 at the time, so I don't know.
Are you the oldest?
I am.
How about that? Now, how old is the youngest?
The youngest is, I think he's 21 now, or no, he's 20 right now.
It's
So-
now. Are any of them still at home?
Yes. Yep. One of them's going through college right now. He's at home. So.
That's great.
Uh-huh.
That's great. Well, did your mother? This is kind of off the topic, but did your mom often get the comment that I get? "No, you just kept trying and you never could get your girl."
Yes, all the time.
Did she really?
Yes.
I get that quite a bit when people see me out with my 4 boys and they'll say, "Are you going to keep trying till you have a girl?" And I know people really, their intentions are not ill will and they don't mean it that way. But it really is very rude, especially to say it in front of my boys. And I always say, which is the truth, we were never trying for a girl. And a girl would have been nice, but I don't feel like anything is missing in my life. And I love having 4 boys. Because I don't want my boys to think I was always trying for a girl. The last 2 were surprises. Pleasant surprises, right? Right.
That's
So, Hope, you had a giveaway that you wanted to give away today to callers.
Yeah, I have a 4-pack of juice, and you were saying that you really like beet juice, and I have a beet juice, but the place that we usually get our vegetables and stuff, they're closed for the holidays, so I just don't have the beet juice. But I have a carrot juice. It's carrot, apple, and ginger, and then a kickin' green, and it has jalapeno and pineapple and cilantro in it, along with the kale and spinach. And then I have a nut milk. It's cashews and honey and real vanilla bean, and then the clean green, what I was talking about. So
Now, if you do the cleanse, do you get to pick your juices or not?
we can. It's flex. I mean, I recommend the juices, but if there's, say, they really just don't like beets, which beets are a superfood and good for detoxing. So if you can get the beet juice down, then that's good. But if you don't want to do the beet, we can always replace it with the carrot juice, or you shouldn't substitute any of the green juices because that's what is so good for you and packed with nutrients. But
Johnny, what if they're going through a vigorous workout with you? Could they do a cleanse?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, I recommend having juicing all the time. I mean, before a race, for an ultra race, I would drink juice before I'd race.
there's the great research. I mean, athletes are using beet juice now as a pre-workout because it opens the capillaries and gets oxygen to the bloodstream. And so, they sell beet powder and stuff, but I mean, the beet juice is about as close to the earth as you can get. So
Would I be able to tell a difference if I drank one of your juices versus going to Earth Fair and getting one of their juices? Based on the method?
I mean, there have been studies that show that the cold press method yields 3 to 5 times the nutrients, which, I mean, if you go to any juice is good. So even if you go to Earth Fair and get the juice from the centrifugal juicer and drink it right away, I mean, that it's still way better for you than drinking, orange juice that's sitting on the shelf. But the cold press method, and that's another thing, I mean, juicing takes a lot of time. You probably know that. And so a lot of people don't want to deal with the mess. So, and each bottle contains 1.25 pounds to 1.5 pounds of produce. So,
And where do you get your produce?
right now, we get a lot of stuff from Linda's Produce, and eventually I want to use all local farms and either certified organic or non-certified organic, but we're visiting a farm today actually, but that will probably be phase 2. But
I know a lot of people complain with juicing or with eating healthy and getting vegetables. It increases their grocery bill. And I would totally agree. When I go to the grocery store and I have a lot of things on my list that come from the produce section, my grocery bill is significantly higher. So, for example, if we eat broccoli that night with our dinner, I'm generally paying $9 to $10 just for the broccoli. And I do find that it increases my bill. But I also hear on the flip side of that, you have to remember, you're either going to pay now at the grocery store or you're going to pay later at the doctor's office. So you have to take a pick, right? You have to choose.
Right.
You do, yeah.
And you have to invest in your health. And that's what I've noticed, especially younger people are willing to invest in their health. They'd rather pay to go to the chiropractor than to, or they'd
Have
rather
surgery.
pay to eat well. And I mean, I think there was a study just done that said millennials are 58% say that they would buy organic over regular, which is pretty huge.
There's still a lot of controversy around that. I think that organic is better, but my husband disagrees. And maybe that's just because he's looking at the checkbook. So, Johnny, what do you do?
Well, if you get behind the microscope and look at the difference, you will definitely want to buy organic.
And that's
there's a lot of chemicals in this food. So.
Yeah, and there's local farmers around here. When I called one whenever I was looking for farmers, and he talked to me for about 30 minutes about he was the first certified organic farmer in Chattanooga, but he dropped his certification because they've raised the standard, or they've lowered the standards, but raised the fees, so it's impossible for a lot of farmers to get certified organic, which is a pretty big issue, I think.
Well, and it's also, I believe, you can't really trust that if it does say certified organic, that it truly is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people kind of skirt around that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of farmers, I mean, they take pride in how they grow their produce, especially local farmers. So if you just ask, even if they're not certified organic or organic, you can ask them, and they'll tell you how they grow their produce. So I think either, buying organic from the grocery store or buying local is the best. So.
And there's no reason why you can't grow things yourself. I mean, if you have a small 1/10 of an acre yard, you can produce over 6,000 pounds of vegetables.
Johnny,
So,
when did you start your garden? We were talking about that on the phone. And when did you start that?
well, I mean, in high school, way years ago. I mean, I was in FFA, and I started doing some gardening then. And then I obviously through college I didn't get to do it as much. But then when we moved into our new home 4 years ago, we put a little garden in our backyard, and it's not very big. I mean, it's smaller than this little section that we're videoing in probably, and I'm producing a whole lot of vegetables out of it.
And how did you learn how to do it? Did you grow up that way?
I read. I just read. I mean, there's so many things online. If you don't know how to garden, and you just go online and start Googling things. Whatever you're planting, Google it. Find out how it grows, how to prune it, what kind of soil you need.
And what would you find to be the best vegetables to grow around here? We planted a fall garden, and we did it sort of late. And I said, I just mentioned how expensive broccoli is, for example, if we're going to cook that for dinner. So I decided to plant a long row of broccoli, but it did not turn out very well. I did not get very much from it.
Well, I actually had some broccoli turn out pretty good until a groundhog got it. But I used mushroom compost, and my broccoli turned out really well from what the. But I mean, it should grow well. I mean,
we did mushroom compost, but I think maybe we just planted the garden late, and also the soil, I think, where we planted is a little bit too wet.
Yes, timing's important. Like broccoli will grow earlier in the year. Like February, March, you might want to start putting out some of your greens, and you can find out whatever you're growing. This, like I said, you can find out the perfect time of year for this climate, or in Tennessee when you should grow it.
Well, right now, what I have, I don't know what it is. And the reason why is I was going to go buy markers to mark each row of my garden. And when I went to 3 different stores, and no one had any. So the last place I went into was Home Depot, which for me, that's the last place I shop. But I went in there, and the girl up front said, well, I'm looking for markers for my garden. And she said, do you want fancy markers? And I said, no, I don't care what they look like. I mean, really, I'm just the only one looking at the garden. And she said, well, I saw a great idea on Pinterest, and you just take a plastic spoon, throwaway spoon, and you write on the end of it what's in the row, arugula or whatnot, and then you just stick it in the ground. And I said, well, that's a great idea. Well, the problem with that, even though I wrote it with a Sharpie, a permanent marker, it all washed away. So I have no idea what is in each row. And when I looked, since it's my first garden, I thought about taking my iPad down there with pictures of different things and comparing it. We were able to quickly tell which ones were the carrots. But little other things, like some of the green, I don't know. Is that lettuce? Is it arugula? I can't tell. I don't know. And so I just know it's edible. So I've cut it, and I brought it inside, and I washed it, and I put it in with my NutriBlender that I use, my NutriBullet. So I may have to have you come out and identify.
Sure. Do you have an above ground or a raised garden, or do you put it in the ground?
It's not. This was our first year, and I think maybe next year I need to do an above ground.
Yeah, especially your carrots probably didn't come out very long.
They were. That's exactly right. They were small. They were like miniature.
You're gonna have to have super loose soil for carrots, and it's best to grow those in above ground, a raised garden around here. So,
do you think eventually, Hope, you'll do a garden?
Oh, the juice keeps me busy enough. But, I mean, we garden at home, and we've had kale and spinach, and we had romaine that turned out really great this year. But as far as gardening for the business, no. I think I would rather just, go through local farmers and stuff, which is really where I want to be, is using the local farmers.
I do think that's one of the successful components of a business is that not spreading yourself out too thin, but honing what your skills are going to be, and that you're going to do juicing and you'll get your produce from your farmers, because otherwise you're trying to do a balancing act between your gardening and your juicing. So I think that's probably a good idea.
I mean, just right now, especially since I'm just juicing pretty much by order, I mean, I spend half the day getting the produce. So, because I like to get the produce fresh that day that I juice. So, just like the juice that I made today, I made it late last night so that it would be as fresh as possible for people. So,
well, bring it out. We want to look at it. And those of you that are viewing at home, it's interesting too, her packaging. Like she said before, you use glass, did you say?
No, it's plastic PET bottles. So,
but they have a top on them.
There's a tamper-proof cap. So, and they hold up for up to 3 days. And here are the ones that I had so that we could try them.
Okay, so the green, what did you said you call it kicking green?
The kicking green, most people start out drinking the clean green because it has the apple and ginger and lemon. But once they get used to the green juice taste, the kicking green ends up being their favorite. So,
okay, so I'm going to give you my honest opinion on it. I'm not going to be like the food TV show where they just always say, that's so good on everything. And so Lisa's in the studio with us, and she's going to try it too. But she's a health nut. She likes healthy food and exercise.
And I've been pleasantly surprised. I went to a school, and
that's really, really good. It really is.
And a lot of people, I haven't had anyone spit it out.
Very
so
good.
That's okay. So now I was worried whenever you mentioned all the things that were in it, because I don't believe I heard you say anything about any sweetness.
Well, when I just crafted my recipes, it was important for me to keep the sugar low, but very high in nutrients. So a lot of people start juicing, and you can make a juice taste real good by adding a lot of fruit, but a lot of people can end up gaining weight. And so I use less than one green apple to
Have you heard about stevia?
Stevia, yeah.
Yes, and that's we grow some stevia in our garden.
Oh, do you really?
Yep.
Did it do well? Because I've thought about
it. Did well.
I just read an article about how stevia is can be really processed too, and so especially when companies like Coca-Cola are the ones making them, so or Pepsi, and so I've thought about growing just stevia leaves and using that to sweeten.
Yeah, you can put it in your tea, brew it in a tea. The stevia leaves, it's good.
And that's what I always tell people food is medicine, and a lot of people have probably heard that. And even when after Thanksgiving, when everyone was so full, we all had ginger tea, and it was just cut up ginger and warm water, and I mean it does wonders for a stomach ache.
Oh yeah, when you're sick, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so this first one that you gave us, this would be in the 3-day cleanse, and what did you say is in this one?
It's kale, spinach, romaine, cucumber, celery, ginger, lemon, and green apple.
It is so good.
And you have 2 of those every day. And I mean, some people have, they're just like, if you don't like the kicking green, then you could do 3 green drinks.
This first one was called the kicking green?
No, that was the clean.
Clean green.
Okay. Lemon, ginger, and green apple is what
I was making smoothies with my boys yesterday, and we were using Greek yogurt and putting vegetable or fruits in it, and we put some kale in it too. And it was kale that I bought, not from the garden, because I can't remember what's what, right? So, but I wanted it to be sweet enough that they would eat, and I'm still perfecting, I think, my ability to make smoothies and juicing and whatnot. And I said, well, boys, you might want to go ahead and put some honey in there for to sweeten it up. And of course it probably was not very healthy, because I think we each put about 5 tablespoons of honey in each one.
Honey's pretty healthy though.
There you go. That's positive thinking.
It actually, it's not going to hurt you. Honey's great for cavities. I mean, it helps with tooth decay. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to honey, especially local grown honey.
Yeah.
But
it would be good for my son when he has all the cavities.
I wouldn't worry about the honey.
Yeah, we actually get our honey from Ace Hardware, and they sell it's just pure wild honey, and it
saw it
tastes
yesterday.
so good.
Yes.
And so we don't ever buy store-bought honey anymore. So
Now, okay, so the first one was really good. This one, I understand where you got the kicking in it, and I can see that it would clean you out, in a good way. It's definitely, I could do this. Now, all of these juices, just so you know, they're very smooth, all liquid. There's no chunks in them.
Are you chewing?
No, I'm not chewing.
you're not chewing the
I'm
juice.
just chewing. And this
Now,
second one's
and
good.
you said that you've had a juice from Earth Fair, and a lot of people will comment on the
Yeah.
texture. The cold pressed texture is just, it's not, sometimes with a centrifugal juicer, you can get some pulp in the juice. And
I
stuff
definitely
like
think that I
but
would. I would always
the-
get the one with carrots, beets, and ginger maybe. And definitely I can tell that this seems to be a lot smoother than the other ones I've had. Now that second one, and one thing I do want to say is they both smell good too. And I think the scent is very important as far as being able to consume it. Like the smoothies that I made yesterday, I used the non-flavored Greek yogurt. And to be quite honest, sometimes it smells like spoiled milk, so that can be kind of hard to choke it down if you feel like you're drinking something that's rotten. And so both of these, I think, they smell good, they taste good.
And the cool thing is it's when people just are drinking them for the health benefits, and that's why I think it's good to go on a cleanse too, because if you're just trying to drink one juice a day and stuff, it's going to be hard to kind of acquire the taste. But after a cleanse, people who haven't been very fond of the juice taste but have done it for the health benefits, they'll call me and like, I'm actually craving your juice. Like I actually had a lady that she was on an Ayurveda cleanse, and the dietitian wanted her to do 3 days of a juice cleanse. So she's like, I really don't know if I'm going to get through this, but I'm going to do it, and that's it. But then she called me. She said, I didn't think that I would be calling you this soon, but I actually miss your juice. And I think it's the nutrients that our bodies are craving. Because if you think about it, we're not getting as many. I don't have a problem. I could eat green for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, I like vegetables. I like salads and stuff. But some people really struggle to get their vegetables in. And so I actually, a lot of guys that work out that meat and potatoes, but know that green vegetables are important, will drink 1 or 2 of those a day to get their vegetables in.
Now tell me about the one that's milky. Did you say that was almond milk?
Okay, this is actually cashew milk, and this is the last juice of the day that you would drink. And after you've been drinking vegetables all day, it tastes like dessert.
It definitely does. It almost tastes like, when I first drank it, it tasted like maybe cereal milk. The
Yeah.
milk, that's left over from your cereal. It's
Sweet.
very good.
Yeah.
And I use, it's local honey, and then I use real vanilla bean and cinnamon. So that's the last juice of the day that you
Yes.
would drink
So
to get your protein. And that's why I think a lot of people, I've said it's an active cleanse, and so you can work out, and you'll have to, because you're getting the calories from the milk, and then you're getting all these nutrients. Obviously you need to listen to your body, so you might not want to work out as hard, but
since the cashew milk is the last one of the day, would that be okay to warm it or not?
yeah, I actually had someone ask me that the other day. The cold pressed juice you wouldn't want to heat, obviously, but you could heat the cashew milk, and it would probably taste really good warm at the end
At
of
the end
the
of the night. Now this orange one that you just gave us, what is it?
It's carrot, apple, and ginger. And I actually started, my go-to drink is the green juice, in the morning. That's my favorite time to have it. But I started doing research on carrots, and it does wonders for skin. I have eczema, and my skin tends to be drier. But whenever I have carrot juice, my face glows, and it does wonders for my skin. And I've even read where people have noticed their eyelashes start growing from drinking carrot juice. So
It's very good. What about if somebody's not going to do a cleanse and they say, I just want to try a few things? Do you have any packages where they could keep a few of these bottles in their fridge? And what is the shelf life as far as how long could they keep it in their fridge?
the shelf life is 3 days. And so, but yeah, when I didn't think that Chattanooga, I didn't know if Chattanooga would have a market for a cleanse. So I actually just started out with 4 juices and people were buying them not as a cleanse. But then a lot of people started asking me for the cleanse. So I'm selling more cleanses than I am just single bottles. But yeah, I have customers that just get, 3 juices a week, and they'll drink that instead of a cleanse. So,
Do you have normal business hours for your store?
no, I do pickups on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 5 and 8. And then I also do downtown deliveries Wednesdays and Fridays. And that's pretty flexible. So, like, we have someone wanting to do a 5-day cleanse, and it doesn't align with our hours, their pickup and delivery schedule and stuff. So we'll work with him and so that he has his juice and stuff. But
Now, you probably will, if you get enough people, you probably would have a great, come up with a time for a Cleveland drop-off, right?
right, we just partnered with Yoga East and their Gun Barrel,
Yes.
or like the Hamilton Place area, and so they're going to be a drop-off location. So yeah, if we had people from Cleveland that, you know, or a company that wanted to be a drop-off point, then we'd be more than happy to do that. But I mean, right now the machine, I've started as small as possible, you know, just because since it's Chattanooga's first cold press company, I didn't know if the market would be here. And so the machine, or the press that I have right now, it takes me about an hour to get 1 gallon of juice. So it takes a long time to get a little bit of juice. And so that's why I do just basically pre-orders, unless I'm at an event, because
And it's an investment for you as far as the produce that you don't want to have to
right,
throw stuff
and
out.
yeah, and
waste.
If I don't want to throw out produce, you know, because I mean, 1.5 pounds for 1 bottle, so that's a lot of produce that goes to waste if it's not used. So when people pre-order, you know, we take the orders, go get the produce that day, and then juice for them. So
Now, remind me, what were you going to give as far as a special? You were saying that if somebody called
I have
you,
a 4-pack of juice, and it's a clean green, kicking green, carrot, and a cashew milk.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the phone number. So those of you that are listening at home, and it would need to be local callers because you would have to come pick this up. Right. And so the number for the station is 423-614-5553. And what caller do you want to take?
Seven's the perfect number. 7?
We'll keep it low.
Yeah,
Probably
let's do
like
2.
the second caller. Okay, so if you call in, this is your New Year's resolution. You want to get healthy. You want to feel good. You want to try the juices and see if it's something that works for your body and your lifestyle. Call in and you can get 4 bottles of juice, which is what, $120 value? Or what is-
4
what is the
bottles of
value?
juice. They're $6 a piece, so yeah, it's about 24 with a
$24.
free bag.
With a free
lunchbox.
bag. It's reusable. So we'll take callers now. The number once again is 614-5553. And or if you have any questions for Johnny or for Hope. Johnny, as people are getting ready to set their New Year's resolutions, what would be 2 or 3 good tips that you could share as far as if they want to do a fitness routine to stay on track with that?
Well, a fitness routine. First of all, I think the most important thing is go ahead and get your blood work done first. You wouldn't even think about that in a fitness routine, but I tell people always get your blood work done first, because if like I said, if your hormones are not right or your gut's not right, you're not going to lose weight on the fitness routine. You may actually make yourself worse.
What's the quickest way to do that? Schedule an appointment with their primary care physician?
Yes, you can use Dr. Ford here in town. He's a great doctor. He's anti-aging now. He does he's going more over to natural health.
What's his first name?
Dennis Ford.
Okay.
So
okay.
I recommend him in Cleveland, local doctor. I like Dr. Jeff Hall in Chattanooga.
Yeah,
and so I use him, and that's I usually recommend getting that done first. Then go ahead and just start training. I mean, you don't have to train. I mean, it's good to get with a trainer to make sure your form's right and everything. But
hold that thought. We got a caller. Okay, try again. Caller, call back in. I think that person may have given up, but Johnny was giving us good tips. So call back, and we'll take your call. So he's at caller number 2. So Johnny, you got another tip? Work out with a partner, would you say? Find a friend?
Yeah, it's important to make sure you don't get yourself injured. So it's good to find a trainer and make sure you have proper form. And
you got another caller? All right.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Who are we talking to?
Abigail Elrod.
Hi, Abigail. Now, do you know Hope?
No, I've just been listening to the show.
Okay, great. Well, Abigail, have you ever cleansed before?
I haven't, but I've lately had some hormone issues, and I had severe psoriasis, so it was something I was curious about.
That exactly. Now, probably, what do you think? How do you think it would help her? Do you think it would alleviate some of her symptoms for psoriasis?
Yeah. I mean, you can Google juicing and psoriasis, and there are a lot of because they're so anti-inflammatory. I think it would help. I'm not a doctor, so I can't say that it would for sure, but it's worth a try.
Yeah. Well, Abigail, thanks for calling, and you were the first caller. So thanks for calling and being our first caller. So if you want to try again, just hang up and call back.
Okay.
Thanks. So the next caller that gets through the phone lines will receive the 4 bottles of juice. And also, if you've got any questions for Johnny or for Hope or for Megan, Johnny, you got any more tips for us?
As far as exercise, I recommend just getting outside. Get outside and walk. Start there. Squat. Squatting is probably the most important thing in your important exercise you can do. Learn to squat properly.
Now, do you train with your people? Do you work out alongside them?
How our workout runs is we always do about a 15-minute warm-up. We always start off with, we don't start off with stretching. We start off with more like drills, like running drills, and then we go into our 20 to 30-minute workout, and then we cool down with some foam rolling. And
do you have anyone that kind of chickens out and say they can't do it anymore? They say
no. I mean, some people that have been training have been with me for over 3 years now, and I mean, there's people that will only make it to the warm up, and then eventually they'll work their way into the workout. So the warm up's pretty good itself.
Well, the good thing too is I think you assess each person as far as their ability. So you're not going to push somebody that you know can't go that far. You don't want overexertion and a heat stroke on your hands. So I think that's great. Now, do you incorporate any yoga?
We do yoga poses for this instead of the stretching. We'll do some yoga poses in the beginning of the workout. Yes.
Okay.
So
that's good.
Definitely.
And speaking of that, Hope was telling me where they're located. They're located in a kiosk there at Cambridge Square, which is in fact in front of B Yoga. So if you're looking for her storefront, that's where she is. And Hope, are you there? Did you say it's between 5 and 8 at a specific day?
Tuesdays and Thursdays to fill, because I have to be in a commercial kitchen to sell the juice, and so that's how we found Cambridge Square, because it was just the kiosk was the perfect size to start out, and so that's where people pick up their orders, and so.
I want to give the phone number again in case you want to call in and be the winner of the free juice of 4 bottles. The phone number here is 614-5553. And if we don't get a caller, I think Johnny and I are going to split it. I think Johnny will take 2 bottles. And I don't know, Lisa.
If we do that, we should go for caller number 7. So
that's exactly. Make it harder to win it. So. Well, I definitely think that I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And I did want to, on another note, I did want to give you all an opportunity. If you want to offer any suggestions as far as future shows, any topics that you would like to talk about today, I felt like today was the good opportunity as far as we're right here before New Year's Day to make your New Year's resolutions. If it's for health and wellness, most people try to aim for those goals, and they are mindful and try to make it within their limits, I'm assuming. And so I felt like today was a good day for that. In the future, though, in the month of January, we're going to be talking about the Jewish Cultural Center. That's something that's not really a staple in Cleveland, but I think it's one of those topics that a lot of people are interested in as far as Jewish cultures and their heritage and their history. And I have a dear friend who is the director of it, and he always has really interesting things. Even if you want to learn a little bit of Yiddish, get a little mashugana, that means crazy, then listen in for that show. Also, the Little Gym of Chattanooga will be on to talk about gymnastics classes and have some special offers. And I'm also going to do a unique program later in the month on adoption, the good and the bad. Oftentimes you only hear about the good stories of adoption, but there can be a lot of bad stories too. We heard about the woman in Middle Tennessee that sent her son back, the son that she adopted from Russia, because he came and he had a lot of psychological issues. Do you remember hearing about this in the news?
I haven't heard about it.
Well, it was a few years ago, and then now she has to pay child support. But the son came over. She adopted him, I think, when he was 7 or 8, and she was a school teacher and a single woman, and she wanted to have a child, and she adopted this child, and he basically was just horrendous. And more so not just in behavior, but just with all of his mental issues, and she couldn't take it anymore. And so when we talk about adoption, and I'm going to have a few people on the show, that's going to be our topic, is not just the great stories, but getting the good and the bad and knowing exactly what you're getting into when you take on the responsibility of adopting, whether it's a child who's 2 years old or an older child. And do you have the patience level for it? What do you think, Johnny? Could you do it?
I think I could maybe do it. I have patience, so.
You do. You're a very patient person.
I'm one of those trainers that don't really yell at their clients or get excited too easy. I kind of just watch and absorb, and I'm real calm about stuff, so I might be able to handle a little bit. So. Yeah.
Hope, could you do it?
Adopt. I think I could. I don't know. I read a book before, and this girl, a young girl, had adopted several kids, and I don't know. I like babies and kids, so.
Babies are fun until they're your own.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work.
I always say I think I was just meant to be an aunt, so.
You never know. You never know. You're pretty young. So once again, the number is 614-5553. And do you guys have plans for New Year's Eve?
I am supposed to go to a little thing at the Chattanoogan, but I think that's still the plans. But
Johnny?
I usually never do anything for New Year's. I'm usually in bed before the ball drops.
I am too.
Our 10-month-old has a 7:30 bedtime.
Yeah.
7:30.
Yeah, we're not out late. We're not late night people. We definitely are not interested in being out late. But I want to give you 20 tips I just saw recently, and I want to share with you 20 tips for a positive new year. One is to stay positive. And you can listen to the cynics and doubters and believe that success is impossible, or you can trust that with faith and an optimistic attitude, all things are possible. Number 2, take a morning walk of gratitude. I call it a thank you walk. It will create a fertile mind ready for success. Number 3, juice. No, I'm teasing. Oh, we got a caller? Okay, caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
So who do we have listening?
This is Jennifer Browning.
Hi, Jennifer. I'm so glad you're listening. Do you know Johnny?
I do.
Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, John.
Do you have any health or wellness questions for our two guests today?
Is that what the call is about?
No, it's really about the free juice, but I thought while you were on.
That's why I called.
Okay, so you're the winner. Ching, 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 ching. So you win the free juice. Jennifer, I'm trying to remember. Are you a graduate of Lee University?
I am.
Oh, we got 3 alumni together because Hope is a graduate and so is Johnny. So have you ever done a cleanse before?
You know, I've kind of tried to do one before, but I haven't really completed it. So I'm hoping that I will do it this time. So.
Well, she's going to give you 4 bottles. And Hope, can you give her an idea of when she should drink what?
I think the green juice is best in the morning on an empty stomach. And then I guess the cashew milk at the end of the night, and then the carrot juice kind of midday pick me up. So, but I mean, they're good at any time of the day. That's just kind of how I prefer them.
Okay. Well, Jennifer, what I'll do is I'll contact you after the show for a pickup time, and we'll get that scheduled and whatnot. But thanks for calling in, and I'm so glad. Hey, and Jennifer, listen, I promise they're really, really good. You will like it. I was not just faking it.
I watched you drink it. Like, I was watching you online. I was like, this is totally not faking. She's like, yeah, that's really good. So
And really, my response was honesty, because I was expecting to kind of snarl my nose up and choke it down a little bit, but I didn't have to, so that was good.
People are usually pleasantly surprised. So
yay. Okay.
Okay, well, thanks for calling.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Well, I'm so glad that she called in and she got that. She'll find it useful, and I could hear kids in the background. So as a young mother, I can attest we probably could use a little detox, because for myself, sometimes I feel like a vacuum cleaner. I go around, and whatever's left over that the kids don't eat, I grab up and I eat it, or M&Ms. And even when I did my cleanse, just mindlessly eating, walking around and seeing that there were M&Ms out, and I popped a couple of them, and I thought, oh my gosh, I just ruined it. I wasn't supposed to do that. You know, you have to remember. Well, speaking of meals, make your first meal the biggest and your last meal the smallest. So have you heard this before, Johnny? Now, what is it? You
Yes.
eat like a king. And then you eat like a popper on your third meal? How does that go? Do you know that?
Well, usually it's a good idea to get about 60% of your daily intake of food, calories, or whatever before 1 o'clock.
I will
If you can get that before 1 o'clock, it really helps you.
And a good weight loss tip I can give you from my own personal experience is that 2 years ago, I would say I lost about 20 pounds. And one of the best things that I did was to go to bed earlier. I was getting better rest, but I wasn't mindlessly eating at night. And on average, if you are consuming food after 8 p.m., you will consume on average an additional 240 calories. So keeping that in mind, just not eating. And one thing, and I don't know how this works as far as scientifically, but I and my friends have agreed with this. I find that if I eat before I go to bed, I wake up starving. If I go to bed hungry and I've not done any late night snacking, I wake up feeling full. And I don't know how that works, but make your first meal the biggest and your last meal the smallest. Eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a college kid with a maxed out charge card. And number 4, Zoom focus. Each day when you wake up in the morning, ask, what are the 3 most important things I need to do today that will help me create the success I desire? Then tune out all the distractions and focus on these actions. A few years ago, I heard Nell Money speak, and you may not be familiar with her. She's an older lady, and she has an article in the Times Free Press. And she had to suffer through the death of a son, and then a few years later, the death of her husband. And one thing that made a big turnaround for her was she said that before her feet hit the floor in the morning, she would thank God for the day. So as soon as she woke up, she just said, thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for letting me live another day, and thank you for all the blessings you provide. And just with a small, short prayer like that, it made a huge difference on her attitude throughout the day. Remember that adversity is not a dead end, but a detour to a better outcome. Number 7, don't chase dollars or success. Decide to make a difference and build meaningful relationships, and success will find you. And I say that often about my husband because when he's giving insurance advice on health insurance, one thing I consider him successful, and one thing that he always does is that he makes recommendations based on what that person needs. And a lot of the time it could be a healthcare plan that brings him less money. He's making less money off of it. But he always says, I know that if I give them the best advice that I would take myself, that success will come my way. And it's the truth. Because if he was always giving advice for things that brought him more income, after a while that kind of catches up with you. Get more sleep. You can't replace sleep with a double latte. That is so true, but it's hard, isn't it?
Yes, and another thing on the caffeine, like you talked about caffeine, you really, any caffeine at all, 6 hours before you go to bed is going to affect your sleep. So 6 hours before you bed. I mean, you got to, like, after lunch, you pretty much want to start cutting out your caffeine.
I maybe drink it too late because sometimes I'll have a cup. My own little rule is I don't drink it after 4 p.m., but maybe I need to make it after lunch.
It's 6 p.m. or 6 hours before you go to bed.
And I go to bed kind of early.
Recent studies have proven that. So,
here's another one. Don't waste your precious energy on gossip, energy vampires, issues of the past, negative thoughts, or things you cannot control. Instead, invest your energy in your purpose, people, and positive present moment. And that's true because you all heard we cannot control the things that happen to us in our environment, but what we can control is our attitude and how we react. Mentor someone and be mentored by someone. Would either one of you say you have a mentor?
I think so. Yeah. Maybe a couple.
You have a couple. Live with the 3 E's: energy, enthusiasm, and empathy. I think that would also make a lot of people want to spend time with you, right? Kind of goes along with the 3 C's: never criticize, condemn, or complain.
That's right.
And that was in the How to Influence People and Make Friends and Influence People. Do you remember that Dale Carnegie book years ago? Maybe not. You guys are young.
I have read that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good book.
You remember the 3 things. Remember, there's no such thing as an overnight success. There's no substitute for hard work. So if you're working out with Johnny, you're not going to lose 20 pounds in a week, right?
No.
What would you say is a healthy amount of weight to lose?
You probably will lose about 1 or 2 pounds a week.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
And read more books than you did in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
That's a goal I think we should all have. And don't seek happiness. Instead, decide to live with passion and purpose, and happiness will find you. Focus on get to versus have to. Each day, focus on what you get to do, not what you have to do. Life is a gift, not an obligation. And number 18, each night before you go to bed, complete the following statements. I am thankful for, and today I accomplished. Sometimes I want to say, today I accomplished, fill in the blank, nothing. But it's not true. You know, we all accomplish things. 19, we have 2 more. Smile and laugh more. They are natural antidepressants. And number 20, enjoy the ride. You only have one ride through life, so make the most of it and enjoy it. I heard somebody say the other day there was a guy that had said, sometimes I don't understand why people do this. They post things that they want to kill themselves. Have you ever seen that on Facebook? Why people do that? I don't understand.
No.
But there was a guy that said that the other day, and someone made the remark that his uncle gave him advice that you can always get off the train of life, but you can never get back on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing you have to remember. And so, guys, I really appreciate you joining me today, and I hope that those listening at home or viewing on the web learned a little something. And as I end this show, I'd like to end you with a blessing as we start the new year's, because next time when we come and meet again, it will be 2014. So normally I do a dance off, but I'm going to spare you guys that. Johnny's looking like, what is she talking about? Normally with my guests, I play a great. I know. Hope, do you like to dance?
I do like to dance. I'm not that good, but I still like to dance.
That's fine.
Okay, well, maybe we should have planned that. Well, let me end with a blessing of solitude today. May you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul. This is from John Donahue, by the way, if you want to find this online. And may you realize that you are never alone, that your soul and its brightness and belonging connects you intimately with the rhythm of the universe. May you have respect for your own individuality and difference. May you realize that you know what? I just lost it. And this is me. This is me with an iPhone and trying to do it all from an iPhone, because I'm obviously not very tech savvy, and my husband would love that. But here we go, guys. I just found it again. May you realize that the shape of your soul is unique and that you have a special destiny here, that behind the facade of your life there is something beautiful, good, and eternal happening. And may you learn to see yourself with the same delight, pride, and expectation with which God sees in you every moment. And I hope you take that to heart. And on that note, thanks for joining us. I hope you have a safe New Year's Eve and a wonderful week, and hope you'll listen again next week.